Greetings and welcome as we talk about making measurements here at Old Ways Rising Farm. Anytime you're building a homestead or even just laying out substantial gardens, you're going to need to do a lot of land measurements. Now there's two different levels of land measurement that we're going to talk about. One is where you need to be accurate and repeatable or precise. Right? This would be an example where, say you're laying out a fence and you're deciding where to put the fence posts. You have 10-foot boards, you need to make sure that you can use the lumber that you have. Right, so there being 6 inches off in your post placement could be a problem because it means you're going to have to go buy a 12-foot board. Right? That's bad, we don't want to do that. Laying out very accurate garden shapes, laying out that sort of thing, you're going to want to use one of these. You're going to want to use a tape. But there's another layer to this, and that's the fact that often you don't need that kind of accuracy. Let's say I have a patch of ground and I just want to know how much cover crop seed to buy. Do I need 1 or 2 bags? Right? That could be approximate. Let's say I'm estimating the cost of fencing an area and I just need to ballpark how much material I'm going to need to buy. You don't need to take all day and stretch this 100 times across the ground. You just want a quick estimate. Let's say I'm going down and I'm going to try and plant 100 or 200 seedlings in a conservation planting. I want to ballpark the spacing between trees. I don't need one of these to do that. What do I need? My feet. Let's talk about how we do that. So before I talk about how to properly measure your pace length, we need to talk a little bit about what we measure with. This brings up types of units. I'm talking to you from North America where we're still using the eminently confusing imperial system. In fact, this is the third take of this little clip because I keep tripping over my words with the imperial system. And if you look at your land deed, it's going to be measured in rods, poles, or perches, which is 16.5 feet. They're all the same. A chain is 4 rods, poles, or perches, 66 feet. If you look at old barns here in North America, people will talk about barns being measured in bents, which is 1 perch by half a perch. Okay? 60.5 by 8.25 for your bend of a barn. Right? It's a unit that comes up again and again and again. So if your goal is to pace along a property boundary and find a pin, you want your paces in chains. Okay? If you want to measure acreage, 1 acre is 10 square chains. It's one of these weird ways that people try to take the imperial system and turn it into something resembling base 10. So if you have a rectangular area where you want to plant some grass seed and you want to estimate how much acreage you have so you know how much seed to buy, you can pace one length in chains, pace the other length in chains, multiply them, divide by 10, and you have acres. Okay? So it's very useful in that regard. Working with topographic units and some other things as well. If you're doing more of a land or a civil engineering task where you want to use a clinometer that's marked in degrees of angle, okay, you would want to measure your pace in 100-foot increments because those types of clinometers expect that if you want to measure the height of something, you're going to back up 100 feet and then measure your angles. Okay, and the math is predicated on that assumption. If you are in the much more sane metric system using world, you would of course want to measure your paces in terms of meters. Because that's what all of your deeds and measurements and things are going to be based upon. You want to get hectares, not acres, so chains are stupid. Okay? So, think about your context. You can apply what I'm about to show you in any context as long as you've thought it through and you know where you're going with it. So let's talk about how to comfortably measure a pace distance. Now you have to remember here, we're measuring land, we're not measuring a kitchen floor. So as we walk, as we set a pace, we want it to be a comfortable, even, consistent, sustainable gait. You are not trying to get the longest pace possible or the shortest pace possible. You will not gain accuracy with any of those. You want your consistent walking gait. Okay? We also don't want to think about our feet any more than possible. As soon as you tell somebody to walk normally, psychologically it becomes almost impossible to walk normally. So you don't want to be thinking about every single footfall and trying to place it perfectly, or you're going to screw this all up. Okay? So this is how it's taught in forestry school. Your pace, you're starting at one location, and don't do what I'm doing right now. I'm twisting to look at you, right? You want to be looking straight ahead. But your pace starts with the foot on the ground and ends with the same foot. So currently my left foot is on the ground. I take a step, my left foot is on the ground. This is one pace, okay? You tell people to pace. A lot of people will want to count every foot, right? Don't do that. It will throw you off because you're thinking too much about your feet. You don't want to do that, right? You'll also see some people try to do one of these and then think they can measure their shoes while being all wobbly and not walking a straight line, right? Don't do that either. You're not looking for that kind of accuracy. If you need things down to inches or centimeters, you need to use the tape. Don't do a pace count, okay? So your pace is your normal walking gait from your left foot to your subsequent left foot, or your right foot to your subsequent right foot fall. This gives you the most comfortable, most consistent way of walking with the least amount of thinking of what your feet are doing, because the more you think about your feet, the more you're going to screw it up, so don't think about your feet. So here I've stretched this tape out to 66 feet because I'm going to demonstrate this using the chain as the base unit of measure, and I'm simply going to count paces. Now I'm not going to do this once, I'm going to do this 4 times. All the way out, all the way back, all the way in, all the way back, and then take the average of all of those 4 pace counts. Okay? Watch me go. Okay, so I did it 4 times and I got right on 12 paces each time. Now, if you do this, it is totally legitimate to have a half pace as your measurement of whatever you're working with, right? It is what it is. This could have been 11 and a half paces, or 9 and a half paces if you're really tall, or 14 and a half paces if your legs are a little bit smaller. It's all totally fine. It's your comfortable walking gait, your sustainable, even walking gait. And then you can just go walk. Every time you count to 12, I usually like to do this on my fingers, right? Because I'm counting in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 chain. Go through it again, 2 chains. Go through it again, 3 chains. Some foresters like to do this and they'll have like a string of beads in their pocket. They'll just feed a bead through their thumb and forefingers. Okay? Totally legitimate. You can also, if you know you want an approximate distance, you can pre-calculate how many paces. You know, if you want, trees 20 feet apart, that's a fairly easy fraction of a train to calculate. Calculate how many paces that is. You can calculate, pace, whatever, plant your tree. It's a really handy, really useful way to measure ground. I hope that you will consider measuring your own pace count and using this for your own ballpark estimations at your own farm. If you've enjoyed this, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up so that the YouTube algorithm knows to show it to others. And I hope that you will join us next time here at Old Ways Rising Farm.